In the last Revan's Revenge news post, we outlined what the mod will roughly contain in its first release, but now it's time to give a bit of an update on how progress is going, and give some addendums to the information in that prior video. Our initial plan for content in the mod was to have a baseline of 5 space units above the fighter size, 5 ground vehicles, the basic infantry types, and at least a fighter or bomber for each faction on top of a few additional unique assets like the Ebon Hawk. On the space side, we've completed the models for all but one of those initially planned space units. Of the 14 modeled ones, there's still only about 4 untextured ones, though my attention personally has shifted more in that direction after I've finished the progressive map planning in Thrawn's Revenge, so they shouldn't take too long to complete. For ground, the basic infantry along with every single planned ground unit has been modeled and animated, though there's still a small amount awaiting final textures. As that last video mentioned though, this plan was just a baseline for what we wanted at a minimum. While other elements on the gameplay side catch up, or as other things like the map reworking happens in Thrawn's Revenge and Fall of the Republic, we've actually been able to expand the scope a little bit in some places. For example, the first lander of the mod has already been completed, and the ground rosters in particular have expanded from 5 to 10 units, basically all of which are already finished. We'll have some posts soon breaking down exactly what those units consist of, but while we don't want to fully commit to it just yet, it's also highly likely that space rosters will be expanded from 5 planned units to 7. While specific unit balance and stats are not finalized, a lot of the heavy lifting of getting these things in-game and set up has already been done. We have a lot of pretty fleshed out systems from the other mods to set up as a baseline, so while there is still some decisions to be made on how and where to deviate from some of those, it does set us up to quickly and efficiently get through what remains on the unit side. The other elements of the mod to work on are things like the galactic maps, government mechanics, and narrative elements. Ideally, Revan's Revenge will launch with proportionally more of the progression and story elements available than Fall of the Republic or Thrawn's Revenge has so far, but our main concern is setting up the basic maps and systems for those first. In the first release, there are a few maps you can probably expect. First, for the maps you're most likely to see previewed the soonest, there will be some maps covering the Mandalorian Wars with era configurable starts, allowing you to play through the war from its early days or its later days. In the earlier start, the Mandalorian Crusaders will have a proportionally smaller position, covering the days of their opening sieges against a larger but more vulnerable Republic. In the later era starts, following the liberation of Iridonia and the Cathar massacres, set in 3963, both factions start on a more even footing. There will also be a broader set of progressive maps covering that, but also including later eras, where the focus is more on the clash between Revan Sith and the Republic, with the Mandalorians in a less formidable position. A third set of Infinity's branded galactic conquests will also exist, putting the Sith, Mandalorians, and Republic all together with similar territory, something that doesn't really exist for all 3 factions at any historical period. There will also be some of our traditional single-planet start maps from the ground up available for each faction. This is again not an exhaustive list of what's going to be available, but we want to make sure we hit some basic milestones without extending the mod's development even longer before people are able to play. The way it usually works is we decide on this kind of baseline, then as we get closer to each of those core sections being complete, we lock down the other areas. This allows us to be pretty flexible on which parts of the mod we're able to expand, and which we try to stay safer with on the production side. At the rate things are currently going, it's likely the expansion of 5 to 7 units would be the last major increase in content for the release. That's all for today though. We hope you're looking forward to the first release of the mod, as well as the upcoming releases of our other mods. For more news on development as it happens, either subscribe here, or check out the Discord linked in the description.